Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Hunter's Dreamcast. This is, of course, the podcast series where I discuss various topics whilst I roam around this beautiful location known as the Hunter's Dream. Okay, everyone, so I am actually probably going to talk about something that I talked about, I believe, a while ago, perhaps a year ago, or more than that, not sure. But, it's pretty much about economics and why I feel it's important that you understand economics and why you should really get into them. And this is something that I feel like you need to get into regardless of if you are political or not. I know it may not necessarily seem like it if you watch my videos, if you watch my double standard, if you watch my wake up people and whatnot. It may seem like, like I'm political and I lean more towards one side, but I'm actually I'm not political at all. But we're in a day and age where I feel like you really need to understand what's happening, so you do need to follow this stuff regardless of how you may feel about it, because your rights are being taken away from you, and if you sit there and just pretend as though there's nothing to worry about, then when they are completely gone, you really won't really have a right to complain as far as I'm concerned, because you needed to do something while they were being taken, and you chose not to. But nonetheless, getting back to the point at hand, this is about economics and the importance of economics. So people might say, well, what's the difference between economics and politics and whatnot? I'd say politics is mainly they kind of go hand in hand, but politics is more towards dealing with certain parties and whatnot and the goals of those parties and why they're trying to pass those bills. Whereas economics is actually like the results of the parties passing bills and whatnot that affects you and me. For example, this administration, was trying to pass some kind of bill. I'm not sure if it passed already. Pretty much saying, someone can just say that they're this gender, and you have to accept that, and they can do whatever they want to. If they want to say that they're a woman and they're a man, and they can just go right into a girl's locker room. I believe that's what the bill encompasses and whatnot, and that's what they're trying to pass if they haven't already. That's pretty much what, I could say, in the simplest nutshell. It's the results of, the decisions that are pretty much affected. Now, I know that that's not necessarily, perhaps, the definition, perhaps, word for word, according to, maybe Webster or whatever, but that is pretty much, as best of a way I can simplify that. Now, the reason that it's so important to follow this is because, again, regardless of if you like politics and if you like following parties and whatnot, you need to understand that you are affected by these people, and so you should know what kind of effects are happening right now. It's my honest hope that a year like 2020 would have taught people that, you need to understand what's happening, because they've just completely stripped away so many people's rights, and they haven't even put up a fight. That's the worst thing of all. As these rights were being taken away from people, most of these people didn't even put up a fight. They just said, okay, let's just do it. And, say what you will about it, you have to understand that this is why you really should have followed that and whatnot, because look at how many people have killed themselves from the whole COVID pandemic and whatnot. Oh my goodness, I'm so depressed and this, that, or the other, so they kill themselves and whatnot, And I'm sure that they do that for a few reasons, but for one, frankly, it's just them, listening to the bills and feeling as though, I can't question them and whatnot, which is, again, why you really need to look at the bills, because the more that you look at a lot of these bills and a lot of the things that these parties are trying to pass, even on both sides sometimes, the more you'll want to question them. I highly doubt that people would be killing themselves in panic and whatnot if they really looked at the virus and realized, well, hang on, a virus with a 90+% survivability rate, why is the world being shut down for this? But the problem is they don't listen to that, they listen to the media, and they don't think at all, for years and years and years, we were taught to believe, Orange Man bad, that was the whole kind of narrative being pushed forward and whatnot, or Orange Man bad by the media. And, most people didn't really take the time to look into, the bills and what they were passing. And if you did, sometimes, a lot of times, oftentimes, you would probably agree with some of the stuff, regardless of if you like the guy. Again, this is why I'm telling you, stop following parties, look at the economics of the whole situations and whatnot. You'd probably agree with some of that. For example, let's look at the whole border crisis right now. I don't think there's a single person, although, excuse me, that's actually incorrect, because I did see a poll, and I know it's still crazy to believe, but yeah, 25 plus, almost 25%, if not 25%, said that, they agree with what was happening at that border and whatnot that's currently happening right now. And, we're seeing this stuff, these are kids that are, from human trafficking, they're smuggling in drugs. These cartels are literally just seen rolling them over here and just like laughing at the border control because they can't do anything. Because this idiot administration just said, "Oh, just let them in," and I'm a nice guy. That's why they're over here and whatnot. And again, I'm not necessarily getting into the political, but I'm saying that this is an economical. Because again, it doesn't matter, like if you like that or not, and if you're like, "Oh, well, that's all right. It's not really bad," because if you are over there at the border, if you are seeing a whole bunch of these people like with guns and whatnot walking around, if you're seeing these children walking across and like they're destitute and whatnot, that affects you. You are literally seeing people like getting over in here and they're hiding in people's houses. They are hiding in people's houses. This affects you. That could be a murderer, that could be a rapist. You don't know who that person is. They could literally just be cartel members that just wanted to come over here and have some fun. Because, well, they can, because according to the administration, well, you get citizenship simply because you just crossed the border and whatnot. And that's, again, what I mean by economics. It's not really the things that are passed, it's the results of why they're passed. Irregardless of your opinion on how this guy, handled the situation and how he said, "Oh, you just come over and whatnot." It doesn't matter what you think of it, because what matters is how people are dealing with it, and a lot of people are dealing with it now. And a whole bunch of people are assuming that, well, it won't affect me, and that's, again, why you really need to follow economics, because what makes you think that these people are just going to stay in one state, the border state? Nah, man. They're going to go throughout, wherever they want to go and do whatever. So, yeah, you better believe it. You'd better believe it. Economics is something that you really need to follow, because you never know, like, what's going to affect you seriously. And I'm telling you, like, it's just the beginning. Like, COVID is just the beginning, because, like, we see more and more daily that, like, they're coming after stuff. Like, I mean, look at the whole, what is it, like, the drive towards, like, a cashless society. Oh my goodness, the cash could have COVID and whatnot. And so now they're trying to use that as a narrative to push towards a cashless society. Now, some may be like, "Oh, well, that's actually a good thing, cryptocurrency and whatnot." And yes, there are advantages to whatnot, like, cryptocurrency and whatnot, but at the same time, just like they can hack you, like, with your money right now. Like, I don't know why people are under the impression that they can't hack you, like, with cryptocurrency or whatnot. Even if it was harder and encrypted, like, like, these encryptions and whatnot aren't necessarily the easiest things that we have in place now, and people can still get past that, so I really don't know why people are under the impression that, like, if we went cashless, that, like, well, we wouldn't have to worry about that. But, like, that's the point. People aren't looking at the narratives and whatnot. Like, I mean, think of economics. Like, I know I keep saying this, but just think of it as terms of service. Most people, like, that are, signing something and whatnot, they have to sign to terms of service and whatnot. Now, irregardless of if you like the person that you're signing for, you need the service or whatnot, and so you sign to terms of service. But it's actively done in a way so that, you don't really know what's going on. But we're, again, in a day and age of internet, so even if you didn't want to read that yourself, I'm sure you could have someone read that, whatever. And of course, I'm not necessarily talking about just terms of service. I'm using that as a metaphor. I am more so talking about economics in the sense that, yeah, perhaps you don't really understand, like, what could happen, and you're not really going to be able to read through that, like, multiple page bill about, like, what they're trying to pass. But we have many channels that do follow that stuff that you can just listen to. And the biggest problem that people seem to get, especially in Western society today, is if it's not affecting me immediately, then I don't need to care. And that's where they really get screwed up, because that's where you really need to care the most, because it's not affecting you, keyword, immediately. It might start affecting you maybe a month down the line, but immediately, that is no excuse. I'm telling you right now, you really need to think about stuff, because problems don't necessarily always just impact you. I'd say America got in this situation with COVID altogether because they downplayed it and whatnot. And again, COVID is, I say this again, COVID is not nearly as dangerous as people make it seem. But they downplayed it in the sense that they said, "Oh, if it comes here, then, we'll have it all under control." And the thing about, Western society, and I'm not trying to, just get in COVID, but people aren't necessarily the most hygienic, in Western society, contrary to what they may believe. "Oh, I bathe daily and whatnot." Yeah, but, if you're over here going to clubs and you're around a whole bunch of people that are, drinking from the same bottles, and you just met this person and you're over here having intercourse with them, yeah, how hygienic is that? You don't know, yeah, maybe you bathe daily and whatnot, but you don't know where this person's been. You don't know who they're, actively in contact with and whatnot. So, yeah, when we're in a very, promiscuous, like, woke, like, kind of, like, very, substance-heavy culture like we're in now, where it's always about drinking, smoking, and whatnot, and partying and intercourse. When you have that kind of society, yeah, you can go ahead and say that you're hygienic till you're blue in the face, but I got to look at the actions, and the fact of the matter is, by your actions, I wouldn't say that you're as hygienic as you may think you are. I don't care how many baths you're taking, like a day or whatnot. Like, I mean, if you're hanging around a bunch of people that you don't know and you're having intercourse with someone that you just met 10 minutes ago, I mean, yeah, sure, go ahead and think that all you want to. That's honestly why I feel like this was able to spread so quickly, because contrary, again, to what people may believe, they're not as hygienic as they like to believe. That's all I'm saying. But getting back to the point at hand, economics. I'd honestly say that right now, I feel like the only teacher that honestly really taught me the importance about, like, stuff in life is, like, literally, like, in my high school, of course, like, because I didn't go to a really good high school, was my economics teacher, because he admitted, hey, listen, you can't really trust the parties, you really need to just look at things for yourself. You can't trust the history books, you need to look at things for yourself and whatnot. Because it's very easy, like, with economics and whatnot, if you don't really know them, again, to just say, oh, look at this bill, it's good, right? Like, that's what these parties try and do. They try and say, hey, look at this bill that we're passing, how awesome is that? Like, I mean, just look at the whole $15 minimum wage, even though it didn't pass everywhere, right? Say it just affects things on a federal level, but let's say that it didn't, and let's say that it passed everywhere. Oh, that's a good thing, right? It's wonderful. And don't get me wrong, I'd love a higher minimum wage. I'd love a livable wage, personally, end of the day. But that's really not how that works, because what they do is they say, oh, the minimum wage is higher, so let's raise the cost of living. What they should be saying is we need to get the cost of living to be reasonable. Because in plenty of states, for example, I live in Florida, the cost of living is ridiculous. I live in a terrible neighborhood. I genuinely live in a terrible neighborhood. One of the most infamous, excuse me, one of the most infamous neighborhoods in, well, not neighborhoods, but cities, actually, in America. And so, you'd think that the cost of living would be reasonable. Nope. On average, even in a bad neighborhood like this, $1,100 a month. $1,100 a month for a crap neighborhood where I could probably get shot walking down the street. Yeah. You see what I mean? Like, the cost of living is just not there. And so, yeah, they try and dress stuff up, and, they say, oh, but this is a good thing. And then, like, look at COVID, the situation that it's put so many small business owners in. How are they going to afford, like, don't even get me started on, like, it's not just COVID, but, like, the riots as well. So, like, let's say that they had COVID, and so they were shut down for most of the year. Then, nearing the end of the year, they start opening up a bit, and here come these idiot rioters and whatnot, and they're just looting, and they're breaking windows, and they're burning. You honestly think, as a small business, may be trying to recover from that, barely on their feet with COVID, and then that happens, and they're trying to recover from that, even though it's really not looking like that? You honestly think that's a perfect time to raise the minimum wage to 15? No, that's just not what it is. But again, that's why you need to look at the economics of the situations, because these bills are usually passed in a emotional manner. Oh, like, this is such a good thing. It's such a good thing. But because you don't really know how economics works, like, you just go ahead and you go with it, and they're like, gotcha. That's literally what it is. It's just an Uno reverse card every single time you turn around. So I'd honestly tell you right now, get into economics, seriously. Like, find someone to follow and whatnot, and if you're in school, please do not downplay economics. Like, get out of this freaking this party, that party crap. Look at the economics and look at the bills, because irregardless of what party you may claim to affiliate yourself with, the fact of the matter is they will try and pass things that are just, frankly, unacceptable. Unacceptable in a discussion. And what you need to do is you need to be aware of the results that are going to happen if that thing gets passed. And considering that, again, we have, plenty of channels that you can follow and whatnot to understand the severity of things like that, and we have many places that are not binary in the realm of, like, they're not partisan, they're not Democrat or Republican, they just tell it like it is. Find an independent source who's into economics, and they can tell you why you need to, do this, that, or the other. And another thing, I'd honestly say that, excuse me, I would honestly say that in order for you, excuse me, just needed to take a swig of water, in order for you to honestly really gauge yourself, like, all that you really need to do is just, like, look at situations and just wonder, how often am I questioning, like, my party? How often am I questioning the effectiveness of these bills that they are trying to pass? Because if you're not questioning it often, then that just means you might have a bit of blind faith in the party, which is not a wise decision, folks. You need to look at like what these people are up to, because they are not up to something that is going to benefit you a lot of times. They work for themselves, they're there to benefit themselves, and frankly, they will not, do anything that will get them any less than what they are seeking for, you know? That's why, like, again, like, I keep having to use, like, certain bills as an example, oh, look at this, well, how dare you not, like, let me think of something. Like, they say, oh, yeah, the stimulus check. Oh, like, when President Trump was still in office and whatnot, and he said, hey, I'm not gonna sign this because it was like $600. And then all of the other foreign places were getting all of this other money, and the Americans were just getting $600. And then they said, oh, how dare you not give them their money? Don't you realize that that's theirs, it's their right, and whatnot? And now, you see, like, no one knew that most of the money was going overseas, and now that Biden is in office and whatnot, right? People are assuming that, oh, we're all gonna get $2,000 stimulus checks. Yeah, it's gonna magically fall off the trees and whatnot, and we're all gonna get it, and it's gonna be hunky dory, and I'm just gonna It's gonna be a ball, And now he's here, and less people are getting the checks. Most of the people that I know who even applied for the check don't have it and whatnot. And the funny thing is, to this day, most people that have applied for it just don't have it. Like, some people that I know who have applied like months in advance just don't have it. It's still not there yet. It's just hysterical to me, because first they said 2K, now it's 14K, and most people that apply for it either aren't even eligible or they just can't. It hasn't even come yet, and it's probably not gonna come. Again, you need to look at the results, not just the what they're trying to pass, because what they're trying to pass, on paper value, on face value, yeah, it may sound good, it may sound necessary, but the results, again, the results are just not nearly as genuine and benevolent as they come off, people have to get out of this idea of, this side is saying something that I don't like and whatnot, and so I'm not ever going to hear them out. Or this side is saying stuff that I always like, so I'm not ever going to question them. You have to question all of them, like, again, like, contrary to what, like, contrary to what people might assume, like, first-timers when they come to my channel, they may think that, oh, I'm political, or, I lean more towards, a side than another. No, I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not. And it's not because I'm ashamed or whatnot, it's just because I don't like associating myself with any party. I don't like the fact that Western culture is so into labels and whatnot and categorization, to the extent they just say, well, time to make a general statement. When at the end of the day, you're an individual and you can only speak for yourself. They can't necessarily say, oh, I know exactly why you feel the way that you do about that situation and whatnot. But they can make an assumption. They can do that, and that's something that they do quite frequently. I do not, practice, associating myself with any party again. And it's for good reason, because, I don't, Republican does not represent how I feel about everything, nor does conservative, nor does left, right, Democrat, leftist, liberal. None of that represents how I feel about everything, And that's why you need to look at, bills and whatnot, because you'd be very surprised about how a party that you might think that you lean towards is passing some stuff that is literally the most contradictory crap to what they may say on camera all the time. And this is what they're passing, So, you really need to do that. Because if you don't, then I can assure you that you're just gonna get played like a fiddle. You really are. And, I can tell you because, I wasn't, before I actually woke up, before I was, like, aware of this stuff and whatnot, I just was, like, told to believe, oh, I need to be Democrat and whatnot. I need to be a progressive and whatnot, and I need to just agree with everything that, the woke agree with. And I didn't agree even at that age, but I agree with a whole bunch of stuff, like, abortion and, woman's right and all this crap, right? But as I got older, and I'm not old now, I'm just saying, but as I got older and as I got exposed to the other side and why they feel the way that they do, this is the key word here, folks, why, and I also look at the bills that a whole bunch of these, progressives are trying to pass and whatnot, I'm like, well, hang on, that's ridiculous, like taking away free speech and whatnot, no, man, it's just, no. You need to look at the results, because These are things that I'm telling you, like, like free speech, for example. Like, oh, we can't have microaggressions, and that's hate speech and whatnot. Well, that's what these places in, communism, Marxism, like, that's what these people were into. Oh, that's hate speech, pretty much. Only the hate speech was, did you just question the government? Okay, gulag. You know? Or, oh, do you just question the government? Even if there's no gulag, then you're a second citizen now. You sure aren't going to keep that job. That's for sure. You're not going to keep that job that you like so much. Nope. Goodbye. No job for you. It's not happening. I'm telling you, folks. Look at the results. Do not look at that bill and just assume that, oh my goodness, this sounds wonderful because of the title and whatnot. This is just, we're making history. No, 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 no. Read the fine print. Contracts, people, contracts. There's a reason why there's a contract, because they have to disclose certain things. Now, even in today's world, they choose not to disclose certain things, but you can usually do some digging with all the information that's out there and find it for yourself, because it is not pretty. And I know that I used, several examples, but I'm really just trying to hit in the fact that economics are really important right now, and you cannot be in a position where you are just like, oh, it doesn't affect me, it's not serious. Yes, it can, and yes, it will. If you honestly keep going around with this impression that, like, it's not your problem and whatever, you need to understand that this crap will affect you. And if it doesn't affect you now, it will affect you in the future. So instead of seeing it as it's not your deal, it's nothing that you have to worry about, see it as something that you do have to worry about. And I'm not necessarily saying, bite your nails and, be frantic about, but just in the sense that you need to understand what's going on, because if you don't, then there is a very high likelihood that, as a result, you're going to be in a very unfortunate position because you didn't take the time to look at what was going on and how serious it was. And again, the prime example of this is COVID. Look at the state that we're in because of COVID. Not just because, the virus got downplayed and whatnot by America, and so it spread really quick, but also because of how the governments are handling it. You honestly think they're going to want to give up some of the power right now? We're saving lives. Come on, wear that mask. Wear that double mask. Wear that triple mask, like, wear the whole box, But it's all under the guise of saving lives. And then you look at the results. And again, like, sometimes it doesn't even need to be a bill. Like, this is why I'm telling you, economics. It doesn't need to be a bill. COVID isn't a bill. But they are using it as a excuse, under the guise of a, national emergency and whatnot, to say, well, you need to stay closed. We need to save lives. Wear the mask, etc., etc. Look at what it is and look at the results. You judge a tree by the fruit it bears. You shall know them by their works. And looking at their works right now, all I see is that they've screwed up people's lives, put people out of business, and they used it under the guise of saving lives, which is why, again, face value, compare it to the real motive. You better understand. But that's going to go ahead and conclude this. I hope you guys understand what I am talking about in the realm of economics and why it's very important for you to try and follow them. I am not saying that, again, you need to be political to do this, but you really should do this in a sense of your safety, because today, you really need to know. You need to know what these people are up to, because they have been up to some shady crap for a while now, especially since COVID, and they are using this to wrap their fingers around all kinds of freedoms that you once could enjoy. But, again, that's going to go ahead and conclude this. Hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, rate the video what you think it deserves. Tell me what you would like to see in the future in the comments below. Feel free to check out my amino in the description, as well as my YouTube channel in the description, and I will see you all next time. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.